Hi everyone, welcome to this week's reading. This is for the week of April 24th through to the 30th. And this week with the astrology, we have a new moon in Taurus in a couple of days on the 26th. So this is a very good new moon. It's a very positive new moon, I should say. The energies are very flowy and it's excellent for manifesting. So if you want to write down ideas of things that you want to manifest into your life, this is the perfect time to do that. Also this week, continuing with the Mercury retrograde going on, and Mercury now moves, it's back into the sign of Aries. So it's, for some people, there's going to be that feeling of intense frustration with those glitches that happen with Mercury retrograde. And as I've said before, if you have Mercury retrograde in your own chart, however, it's usually not as difficult though you still may have issues with technology not working or little problems, things like that. But the key with it at the moment is patience, because you can really, get very, very frustrated very quickly if problems happen under this Mercury retrograde as it goes back into Aries. Venus, the planet Venus, which rules the signs of Taurus and Libra, has been direct now since last week, basically. So it's moving though from Pisces now into Aries. It will be this weekend actually on the 0 degree point, which is known as a critical degree. 0 degrees and 29 degrees are critical degrees in astrology. So the whole of this weekend, Venus is going to be on 0 degrees of Aries. So, I would say a little bit of a warning with that. For those that are prone to impatience or prone to, overreactions, just be careful of your emotions, because, you might want to watch out for rash decisions over this coming weekend, okay? Especially in regards to relationships and finances. Like with finances, you don't want to go crazy and overspend and blow your budget. You say you've been saving for something and you just become very impulsive and, self-gratifying and just want to indulge. Something like that could be quite problematic this weekend, or even to do with, people feeling really intense in relationships and, taking maybe extreme actions or reactions, okay? Because Venus is never happy in the sign of Aries, and it is that critical degree, so she can be even more rash and even more impulsive and hot-headed, and also quite self-centered and selfish. So just be careful with that energy this weekend. If you know someone like this in a relationship scenario, or someone that you have to deal with, or you yourself are prone to that sort of thing. Mars has moved into Gemini just over the weekend, just gone, and but basically with Mars in Gemini, early degrees of Gemini, it's going to be energizing the air signs. It might be quite intense for Geminis, but it's going to be quite positive for the Librans, and it could be problematic for Sagittarians though, because it's the opposite sign, and when Mars is in your opposite sign, it can be quite testing. So if you're an early degree Sagittarius, born, say if it's your sun sign that's Sagittarius, you're born in the early part of the month, for Sag, just be careful, because you might be having an antagonism, from other people, or tension coming from other people that could be quite testing for you. What was the other thing I was going to say? Aquarius is also going to, early degree Aquarius people, you'll also get a positive boost from Mars, so you could feel quite energized under this this week with Mars in Gemini. And that's pretty much what I was going to mention. I think that's what I had written down. I just wanted to mention, if you've made it through the last 2 weeks with the Venus square Saturn and the Venus conjunct Chiron, and you had some rocky things happening in your relationship, you can give yourself a pat on the back. You've come through that, because last 2 weeks was very rough for relationships. And, particularly with the Venus conjunct Chiron, that's actually gone now. That's finished. And so things should feel a little bit more settled in relationships this week at least. So anyway, I've got cards from Doreen Virtue and Radley Valentine's Archangel Power Tarot. So I'm going to be picking 3 cards for this week to see what energies we have going on. I see a card that's popping itself out, so I'm going to grab that one and this one. And just as I'm doing that, I'll let you know, if you'd like a personal reading with me, follow the links below to my online store, where you can choose from quite a variety of readings that I offer. Alright, so let's have a look for this week. Oh, Page of Ariel. I like that. Perspective, which is the Hanged Man in traditional tarot, and the Emperor. Okay, I need to set this up always forget to do this, to push them back a little bit because they're not that visible on camera. Is it a little bit better? Okay, so with the Page of Ariel, look, the Ariel suit in this particular deck relates to Pentacles, okay? So that very much resonates with the new moon in Taurus, because Taurus relates to very practical matters, finances, which the Pentacles traditionally relate to in tarot. So the card actually says an excellent opportunity will be offered to you, scholarships or the pursuit of education, time to get to work. So this is speaking to, for some people, some kind of new, very exciting beginning, I feel, for some people. Particularly if you are a Taurus or if you're an earth sign. There is a new start, and it could be to do with your education, it could be to do with something that you're pursuing, something exciting like a project or a new direction that just suddenly opens up this week. For some other people, it could be something to do with training on the job, or, you know, kind of on the job training, or some kind of further education that will help you with your work and career. So it's very much related to the material realm with this. But I just get such a positive energy with that card, and it definitely relates to the new moon in Taurus. The perspective card's interesting next to that. So it's the Hanged Man, okay? So what I get with this is, in relation to the first card, is, look, there is something exciting opening up for you, but you might feel like it's, once you get started with it, maybe you don't feel as enthusiastic as you thought you would, or maybe there's more work involved and it's a bit of a slower process and you need to kind of just trust in the process. It's almost like with all that impatient, you know, energy this week with Mars in Gemini, it's very restless, you know, and Venus on the 0 degree point this coming weekend of Aries. There could be a sense of impatience that you feel, and maybe you just feel like, oh, this is not as exciting as I thought, or it's going to take a bit longer and I just need to bide my time, or kind of just go with the flow. But that feels like, you know, you're kind of waiting for destiny to kind of kick in a way, and you to sort of sense when to take action next with what you're doing. So it's like an intuitive thing where you're kind of just waiting to see what you want to do next in regards to this thing that you've possibly going to be starting this week. And then there's also the Emperor card, so that's kind of the opposite energy of this, so that's very interesting. Let me just tune in to see what I'm getting from these two. Okay, so what I'm getting is, you know, there's a deeper spiritual process at work in your situation at the moment, which is represented by the Hangman card. But there are definitely things that you can do to take action to make the most of your situation. So it's not saying to remain completely passive at this time. With this card, it's saying, okay, you are in a process, and being in a process by the nature of being in the earth realm, and that things do take time. Things might take some time to develop and to work out, but there are things that you can do, represented by the Emperor, which is, incidentally, that's the Aries card in astrology. So it's saying to you, you can actually take actions. There are things that you can do, and you're actually making your way yourself here. So there's a feeling with this message that, sort of a reminder that even though there is divine timing at play in your life, which is represented by this card, you also have free will. So it's a combination of using both your free will and tuning into the divine timing, and not forcing things, not overly forcing things, but kind of working with what reminds me of a very Eastern philosophy called Wu Wei, which, from memory, because it's been a long time since I've read about it, it's something to do with like taking action and then stillness. So, you know, the flow, a natural flow, being in a natural flow, not over forcing things on a continued basis and not being too passive on a continued basis, but actually having the balance of both your intuition and your will and your ego and working them together. And that's really a very strong message what I get here with these cards. Very powerful message, and it's just a reminder to work with both your higher self and your ego to get the best benefits out of your life. And that's not always easy to do, so it's something that we, you know, do, that we can work on. And by having awareness of yourself and being aware of your intuition, knowing how your intuition works, listening to it, and knowing also how your own ego works in the positive and the negative way. Because when the ego works in the negative way, it fills you with fear and it blocks you from taking action in your life. So make sure that you're accessing the very Aries energy, which is, in a positive sense, ability to take action without overthinking things, and from a very instinctive kind of level, I guess. So that was the reading for the week. I hope you enjoyed that. Have a fantastic week, everyone. Wish you all the best. Talk to you next week. Bye.